Oral questions. Questions orales. The honourable member for Calgary Nose Hill.
This week, the Prime Minister said, we have the immigration system under control, and his immigration minister said, my job is easy. At the end of this year, there will be nearly 3 million people in Canada on expired or expiring visas, and last year the Liberals only managed to remove 22,000 of them. And the Liberals are still issuing hundreds of thousands of new temporary work permits this year. If her job is so easy, what's the minister's plan to get nearly 3 million people to leave?
The Honourable Minister of Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship.
Thank you very much. The job that I have is never easy. It is one of the toughest jobs in government, and the reason is many Canadians and many people are looking at our government to control immigration and to keep it sustainable. With regards to the temporary, we have targets, we have ranges for temporary residents. Those that are on temporary status have the opportunity to extend. They also have the opportunity to use some of our permanent pathways. Otherwise, they are expected to leave.
Good job. The honourable member for Calgary Nose Hill.
The immigration minister has been in her job for a year now, and she was appointed to get, since she's appointed, we've been getting disgusting stories every other week about non-citizens convicted of serious crime getting leniency in order to avoid deportation. She could have been lobbying her cabinet colleagues to make sure that laws are changed and that victims get the justice that they deserve, but she's done nothing. If the Prime Minister wants to move at a scale and speed not seen in generations, why doesn't he just fire his failed minister now?
The Honourable Minister.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. On my record and work on immigration, the record speaks for itself.
Yes.
We're taking back control on the immigration system. We're returning immigration to sustainable levels. Our asylum levels are down by a third. The number of international students is down by a third. The no temporary foreign workers are down by a half. We have exceeded our Francophone immigration targets. We are bringing global talents. From July to October 2025, the population of Canada decreased slightly. We are on track and we've met all our targets.
Good. The honourable member for Calgary Nose Hill.
Mr. Speaker, her record sure does speak for itself. In fact, 10 Liberal members of Parliament had comments on her record today. They were quoted in a CBC article saying what millions of Canadians already know, that the Prime Minister's immigration minister isn't getting her jobs done. She won't take basic meetings, processing times haven't been fixed, and the asylum backlog has ballooned to 300,000 people under her watch. I've said it before, I'll say it again. She is a bad minister. If the Liberal caucus doesn't even think she should have her job, why is the Prime Minister still defending her?
Honourable Minister.
We are building an immigration system that keeps Canada strong. That is our mission. That is our mandate. That is what Canadians elected us to do.
Yes.
That is what we will continue to do. In June, we introduced legislation C2 to protect the asylum system against sudden increases in claims. The Conservatives opposed it. In October, we brought forward new legislation C12 that will protect our borders and strengthen the immigration system.
That's right.
The Conservatives have delayed it at every stage.
right.
We're building an immigration system that is sustainable and that will keep Canada strong.
That's right. Honourable member for Calgary Nose Hill.
Well, Mr. Speaker, today the CBC reported what we all see every day, that the immigration minister's own Liberal colleagues cringe awkwardly as she fumbles her way through serious issues. I've had the misfortune of sitting across from her in Immigration Committee where she can't answer basic questions about bills that she is presented to Parliament. While her infamous salad quote was admittedly crazy, the immigration portfolio is no laughing matter. Under a Conservative government, Canada's immigration system functioned well. It was fair and orderly, but not with this minister. Why does she still have her job?
The Honourable Minister.
Monsieur le Président, en matière de...
Mr. Speaker, on immigration, this government has reduced asylum claims by a third. The number of international students in Canada has gone down by a third. From July to October 2025, the population of Canada slightly decreased after several years. We have increased the percentage of the economy stream to 64% in order to attract world-class talent. We are building a world-class immigration system. The Honourable Member for Charles-Saint-Charles. Mr. Speaker, yesterday the Prime Minister stated that the immigration system is under control, but the Liberals have actually broken the system. The facts are that 86% of fake asylum seekers are still in Canada. Thousands are still wanted by the CBSA, and appropriate security checks are not taking place. And these individuals are placing pressure on our schools and healthcare system in Quebec. Will the Prime Minister finally fire this minister, the Honourable Government House Leader? Mr. Speaker, on this side of the House, we are proud to serve side by side with this immigration minister. We are proud of our immigration system. We are very proud to have the first Lebanese woman in this position with a remarkable roadmap as a Nova Scotia MP and here in the House. The results speak for themselves. Asylum claims have gone down by a third. Same thing for international students, and from July to October, the population of Canada went down. This minister is doing her job. The Honourable Member for Charles-Saint-Charles. Mr. Speaker, this is not a personal matter. This is a professional matter. It is clear that this minister does not understand her files. 10 of her colleagues said on Radio-Canada that the minister is not familiar with her files and is incompetent. We need a minister who understands what's happening in Canada and can manage the immigration system. Will the Prime Minister finally fire his minister, the Honourable Government House Leader? Mr. Speaker, you know who can't answer questions about immigration? People on the Conservative side who have no immigration policy. And they took a week to think about it and decided to come back to this House and punch down and try to bully the most vulnerable people, refugee seekers. For example, they're trying to kick out wounded children from the Ukraine war. They don't want kids like that to get health care. It is the Conservatives who don't have an immigration policy. On this side of the House, we are proud of our minister and our record. The Honourable Member for Charles-Saint-Charles.
Saint-Jean, je m'excuse.
I'm sorry, the Honourable Member for Saint-Jean. Mr. Speaker, the Currem software fiasco with its $5 billion cost overrun is the last straw for Quebec, and the National Assembly of Quebec has just adopted a unanimous motion to state that federal IT projects and their cost overruns represent complete wastage on Quebec taxes. All Quebec elected officials have asked the federal government to create an arm's-length inquiry on federal IT contracts. When will we finally see this inquiry? The Honourable Government House Leader. Mr. Speaker, modernizing the government is something we are currently working on, and it is already showing results. When it comes to old age security benefits, currently we are servicing 7 million Canadians with a new modernized system that has replaced a system that was really outdated. The project is in the budget and is part of a much broader modernization project for all Government of Canada benefits. The Honourable Member. Mr. Speaker, the National Assembly unanimously pointed out that the Phoenix software went from an initial budget of $309 million to $5.5 billion, while ArriveCan went from $80,000 to $60 million. And now, Currem has gone from $1.75 billion to $6.6 billion. And yet the Liberals continue to deny that the Currem budget has ended up going over projections, even though the Auditor General already had pointed that out in 2023. Once again, when will there be a public inquiry? The Honourable Minister of Employment.
You say things, it doesn't make it true. In fact, the Currem software program is actually under
Couldn't hear. Sorry. Couldn't hear. We'll let the honourable minister. We'll let the honourable minister answer the question. The honourable Minister of Jobs and Families may continue.
Mr. Speaker, over and over and over, we hear this number that's patently wrong. And I have no other way to say it, Mr. Speaker. This is the largest transformation of the way we deliver benefits in the history of this country. We are moving 3 important benefit programs from paper-based, old-school technology to full modernization where people will be able to apply and are right now able to apply online. Mr. Speaker, this
L'honorable député d'Abitibi.
The honourable member for Abitibi-Témiscamingue. Well, I wouldn't attack the credibility of the Auditor General if I were the minister, Mr. Speaker. These Liberals seem to think this is just a joke. They're just ignoring the problem, and they keep on spending taxpayer money. The National Assembly has reminded us that over 3 failed IT projects, Ottawa has wasted more than $10 billion. That's 5 times more than it would take the government of Quebec to repair 227 hospital buildings. But there's no accountability in Ottawa. The Liberals keep saying that there haven't been any cost overruns. When will we have a public inquiry? The Honourable Minister.
As I've said, 7.7 million seniors have been transitioned to this new software. There are still some seniors who have applied for their benefits that are waiting. That number is dropping, Mr. Speaker, every week, every month, as we anticipate it will continue to do. And Mr. Speaker, our officials are working very hard night and day to make sure that all cases are resolved. If the member opposite has a person in his riding who needs urgent attention, I suggest he share that name with me or have them call Service Canada. We haven't received any names yet from that member of Parliament.
The honourable member for Thornhill.
Liberal immigration minister is out of her depth, and the numbers prove it. 86% of rejected asylum seekers remain in Canada. 25,000 people were admitted without a proper security screening, and nearly 3 million temporary visa holders are nearing expiry with no clear plan in place. And yesterday, the Prime Minister claimed that the system is, quote, under control. But there are no real controls left. The Liberals dismantled them, and the minister has shown no ability to restore order. So with results like these, why is she still in her job?
The Honourable Minister of Justice.
Mr. Speaker, I will park some of the factual inaccuracies that were included in the member's question, but let me just take a moment to say that I have been proud to work alongside my colleague for Nova Scotia, not just in her current capacity as Minister of Immigration for Canada, but previously when she served as the Immigration Minister in my home province of Nova Scotia. She was uniquely responsible for bringing the healthcare workers that provide care to my neighbours. She was uniquely responsible in helping resettle refugees from Syria when the federal Conservatives wouldn't lift a finger. She is working on a program that may be a difficult problem to solve, but she is restoring integrity to the immigration system, and the personal attacks are cruel, inappropriate, and beneath this House.
The honourable member for Thornhill.
It is that minister who left the immigration minister with the mess that she has to clean up. And he knows that even Liberal MPs who have been passed over for a decade can see that she's out of her depth because of the mess that he left. Yeah. These are direct quotes from them. She has no idea how to respond. She doesn't make sense. She puts her foot in her mouth. At what point will the Prime Minister acknowledge that this file requires real leadership and a serious course correction without the two of them?
The Honourable Minister of Canadian Identity and Culture.
Mr. Speaker, we see what the Conservatives are doing here, pitting Canadians against asylum seekers. Some of them helped us during COVID, deliberately confusing fraudulent claimants against failed asylum claimants. This isn't a dog whistle, it's a foghorn. And I know it's Lent, so I do implore them to show a little grace. So instead of shedding MPs for Lent, Mr. Speaker, which we appreciate, maybe they need to shed this line of questioning.
The honourable member for Thornhill.
They've just put up a third failed immigration minister to answer for the question. This is actually a really serious issue, and they can talk down members of this House. They can call them bad people all they want, but Canada's immigration consensus is crumbling. Stakeholders aren't getting their calls returned. Controls are gone, putting pressure on housing, on healthcare, and on jobs, and the minister is MIA throughout all of it. The House deserves a straight answer. When is she getting fired?
The The Honourable Minister.
So, Mr. Speaker, let's assume for a second that the Conservatives actually want to help the situation. Perhaps the member opposite can turn to her right, talk to the Leader of the Opposition, who's changed so many ridings, he's Parliament's own temporary foreign worker, and ask him to stop going around the country pandering to communities, promising them not to be deported, and promising visas for everyone. That might help, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Regina Capel.
Mr. Speaker, they're putting up all the failed previous immigration ministers to speak for her. Mr. Speaker, the Liberal Prime Minister has created a sentencing discount system.
From the top.
Liberal government has created a sentencing discount system for foreign criminals. The Prime Minister claims that they've got this system under control. Well, let's look at the case of Rajbir Singh. This criminal sexually assaulted a young woman and received a conditional discharge so he would not have a criminal conviction registered against him so he could stay in the country. Under this Liberal PM sentencing discount policy, not only are dangerous criminals allowed to stay in the country, they get released early. When will this Prime Minister fire his immigration minister, or does he think that she's got it all under control?
The Honourable Minister of Public Safety.
Mr. Speaker, the assertion of the member in the opposition party is absolutely false, Mr. Speaker. When somebody is before the courts, somebody's facing criminal charges and conviction, they're deemed to be inadmissible in Canada, Mr. Speaker. The Canada Border Service agencies take these very seriously, and they have admissible individuals removed. Last year, we removed over 22,000 individuals from Canada. But let me be very clear. The issue of lawful access is a tool that law enforcement have been asking for. The party opposite has absolutely failed in supporting those policies so that we can have a safer country, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Regina Capel.
If they had confidence in the immigration minister, then she would be answering these questions herself, Mr. Speaker. Let's take a look at another case. Joyson Lewis assaulted his girlfriend, grabbed her, tearing her shirt in the process, and threw her to the ground when he hit her again. The judge in the case sentenced this foreign criminal to 9 months of probation, specifically so that the conviction would not be entered into the record so he could stay in Canada. Why is this Liberal government doubling down on a policy that gives sentencing discounts to foreign criminals, and when will this Prime Minister fire this minister?
The Honourable Minister of Public Safety.
Mr. Speaker, Canada is a rule of law country, one that respects the rule of law. Nobody is above the law, Mr. Speaker. And the discounts that this individual is talking about is absolutely false. What I will say is that the Canada Border Service agencies removes those who are inadmissible to Canada, those with criminal penalties. But let me also be very clear, Mr. Speaker. The party opposite absolutely refuses to move on lawful access, a tool that law enforcement has been asking for from coast to coast to coast. This is the record that party has in terms of defending the rights of Canadians and keeping Canada safer, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Long Range Mountain.
Mr. Speaker, by the end of this year, 3 million temporary residents will have had their visas expire, and the government has no enforcement plan to ensure that they leave. Last year alone, 1.5 million permits expired, and the Liberals just simply assumed that they would magically comply. The system is out of control. Housing is strained, youth unemployment is rising, our healthcare system is broken, Canadians are clearly paying the price. So when will the Prime Minister take responsibility for this failure and fire his immigration?
The Honourable Secretary of State for Combating Crime.
Mr. Speaker, we have been getting this immigration system under control. We've just seen that Bill C-12 is about to pass from the Senate. This will not allow people to abuse our asylum system. And Mr. Speaker, if they cared so much about crime, they would have passed C-14 a long time ago. We could have had that bill passed back in Christmas time, Mr. Speaker. It's 80 different changes of the Criminal Code of Canada. We're strengthening our criminal code more than we have seen seen in generations, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable member for Long Range Mountain.
Mr. Speaker, competence is not talking points, it's measured by results. 33,000 non-citizens listed as wanted by the CBSA is not competent. When 86% of rejected asylum claimants remain in Canada, that's not compassion, that's a system that is not being enforced. The minister has lost control of the file, the confidence of stakeholders, and now members of their own caucus are questioning her ability, and Canadians are paying the price. So once again, will the Prime Minister take responsibility for this failure and fire his immigration minister?
The Honourable Secretary of State.
Mr. Speaker, if the Conservatives really cared about these issues, they would support us in our responsible legislation that we are putting forward. We're bringing down asylum numbers, Mr. Speaker, in this country, and we're reducing fraud in our system with the leadership of the Immigration Minister, Mr. Speaker. If the Conservatives cared, they would stop their divisive politics and their hate tactics, and they would join us in making sure that legislation passes swiftly through this House, and they would stop the obstruction.
L'honorable député.
The Honourable Member for Pierre Boucher, les Patriotes Verchères. Mr. Speaker, the Liberals have cut $5 billion for public transportation, and Quebec never even got a dime from that fund, but Ontario and Western Canada have received a lot of money. And what's weird is that sum, $5 billion, is exactly the same as the cost overruns for the Curum software, which doesn't even work. So that's $5 billion more for consultants and $5 billion less for public transportation. Why don't the Liberals invest Quebecers' money within Quebec instead of making consultants rich?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Merci pour la question. The good news, Mr. Speaker, is that we have a Building Communities Fund, strong fund, which includes public transit. This is a $51 billion infrastructure fund that this House has the opportunity to support in the Budget Implementation Act. $51 billion, and a significant percentage of that applies to public transit. We are in talks with the Government of Quebec to pursue the opportunity for public transit investment. We hope to conclude those negotiations and be able to ongoing invest in public transit across Quebec as we have across the country. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
L'honorable député de Repentigny.
The Honourable Member for Repentigny. Mr. Speaker, this $5 billion cut to the public transportation fund is being criticized by everyone. The Transit Alliance, a coalition including Équiterre, Trajectoire Québec, Vivre en Ville, and many other organizations. They're all saying the federal government is hurting users, mobility, and its own climate targets. And what's even worse is that Quebec did not get a single dime of this money, whereas Ontario and Vancouver hit the jackpot. Will the Liberals cancel this cut and ensure that Quebec gets its fair share?
Monsieur le Président, merci pour la question.
Once again, thank you for the question.
To pursue public transit investment with the Government of Quebec. We are at the table, we are negotiating, we welcome the opportunity to invest. There is significant dollars available in the Build Communities Strong Fund. When the BIA is passed, we will be able to move that funding through on top of the $25 billion that's available in the Canada Public Transit Fund. So you add all that up, there's a significant increase to the public transit funding that is available, and there's more flexibility for provinces, territories, and cities to pursue. Thank you.
The Honourable Member for Nanaimo, Ladysmith.
The Prime Minister falsely claims he has our immigration system under control. But when a non-Canadian on a student visa can spy on his female housemates for 6 months and not get deported, Canadians know the system is out of control. He recorded them in various states of undress, Mr. Speaker. He recorded them using the bathroom. But instead of protecting these women, Liberal sentencing discounts allow immigration consequences to benefit the offender. When did the Liberals abandon vulnerable women? And when will the Prime Minister finally take accountability and fire his immigration minister?
The Honourable Secretary of State for Combating Crime.
Mr. Speaker, it's completely the opposite. The Conservatives would like Canadians to believe that there is some policy in place. There is no policy in place. The provinces should respond for those types of actions that are happening in provincial criminal courts, not federal policy, Mr. Speaker. If anything, we are strengthening the Criminal Code of Canada to make sure that criminals face the penalties that they should for these outrageous crimes.
The honourable member for Nanaimo, Ladysmith.
That's not an answer, Mr. Speaker, and this isn't isolated. When a non-citizen can sexually assault someone's 18-year-old daughter twice and not get deported, the system is out of control. This offender was found guilty of sexual assault. The judge knew he would be deported, but then they gave him a discharge and probation so another criminal stays in Canada. The Liberals accuse us of all kinds of things, Mr. Speaker, but their judges are pleading down at the expense of our daughters. So I'll ask again, Mr. Speaker, when will the Prime Minister fire his immigration minister and get immigration back under control?
The Honourable Secretary of State.
Mr. Speaker, these are not our judges. These are Canadian judges appointed by provinces. Our criminal court hearings happen at the provincial level, Mr. Speaker. Therefore, Conservatives would like Canadians to believe that there is some type of federal policy that is making judges make these decisions. There is absolutely no such policy, Mr. Speaker. If anything, we are tightening our Criminal Code of Canada. In C-16 and in C-14, we're making sure that we support our victims of sexual assault and that we make conditional sentences no longer a thing.
L'honorable député de
The honourable member for Montmorency-Charlevoix. Yesterday, Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister said the immigration system is under control. I'm very sorry, but that is not at all the case. In Quebec, for example, there are 200,000 asylum seekers within Quebec, which is putting pressure on our healthcare and education and childcare systems. And today we learned in Radio-Canada that the Liberal immigration minister doesn't understand her files and is not at all available on the ground. Will the Prime Minister finally stand up and fire his immigration minister? The Honourable Government House Leader. Mr. Speaker, as my colleague knows very well, because this question has been asked already a number of times today and has been answered by the Minister of Immigration and other colleagues, asylum claims have actually gone down by a third under this minister. Same thing for international students. And between July and October 2025, Canada's population even shrank slightly after having grown for several years previously. That is this immigration minister's record. Meanwhile, what is the policy of the Conservative Party?
I have on my list here the honourable member for Montmorency-Charlevoix, but I see the member for Richemont-Arthabasca is rising. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. For weeks now, I've been rising in this place to ask questions about the QRAM IT software project. The cost ballooned from $1.6 billion to $6.6 billion. That's a $5 billion cost overrun. There are 78,000 seniors waiting to receive their benefits. We've asked dozens of questions. The Liberals haven't answered our questions. Yesterday, I asked if there was anyone taking leadership on the government benches who would take ownership of this file so that I could go and see that person, so that they could handle these files. This is unacceptable. Canadians are paying out of pockets for this. This is wasted money. What will the Liberal government be doing about this? The Honourable Minister of Employment and Families.
It's ironic that the member opposite is saying that he's asked who to speak to, and I've said about 15 times, come and speak to me directly if you have cases that you need accelerated. I've also been very clear in this House, Mr. Speaker, that this is a massive transformation of software. We have a portfolio of money allowed to us to do that transformation, and in fact, we're under budget, Mr. Speaker, so the member opposite, if he needs to be briefed, I ask him to come to me immediately after question period, and I will talk to him.
The Honourable Member for Lévis-Lotbinière. Mr. Speaker, yesterday the Liberal Prime Minister said that he had the immigration system under control. Yet the Liberals have abandoned security checks, systematic review processes. The Liberals have allowed approximately 25,000 people into the country without any of them having a single conversation with any government employee. Meanwhile, Mr. Speaker, where is the Minister of Immigration? She's not answering any questions. The situation is so serious that even Liberal MPs are calling for her resignation. Can the Prime Minister take responsibility and finally dismiss his Liberal Minister of Immigration?
L'honorable ministre de l'Immigration des Réfugiés.
The Honourable Minister of Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship.
This one, let me be clear about the facts. Officers rigorously review each and every claim before they reach the IRB, and nobody can claim asylum in Canada without questioning. To keep Canadians safe, CBSA does the front-end security screening on all adult refugee claimants. There is no rubber stamping of any files and any claims. Each one is assessed individually on the merits by highly trained decision makers. Our government worked hard to bring the asylum claims down by more than a third last year. We will keep working hard to do that. We've got Bill C-12 in front of us. And thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Sault Ste. Marie Algoma.
Speaker, we know that Canadian workers are the backbone of the strong economy. The government's new workforces alliances are bringing together workers, industry, and training partners to build the skilled and resilient workforce that Canada needs for the future. Now more than before, Canadian workers need their government to have their backs. Can the Minister for Jobs and Families tell this House how our government is supporting workers and strengthening the Canadian economy now and in the future?
The Honourable Minister for Jobs and Family.
Mr. Speaker, the Member of Parliament for Sault Ste. Marie Algoma is a force to be reckoned with. In fact, it was such an honour to stand with him at the Algoma Steel Mill to support the defence of Canadian-made steel. And I want to thank him for his ongoing advocacy. Mr. Speaker, it was a very proud moment for me to announce 5 additional workforce alliances. What these are, Mr. Speaker, are a way, and something that industry has been calling for a very long time, a way to streamline skills training with the needs of industry. I'm so thrilled that we are working strongly with workers and employers across this country to build Canada strong.
The Honourable Member for Saskatoon West.
Mr. Speaker, yesterday the Prime Minister falsely stated that he had the immigration system under control. Does he realize his own immigration department is rubber stamping asylum claims from terror-sponsoring countries like Afghanistan, Yemen, and Iran? We just heard that the Minister doesn't even realize that she's auto-approving claims from Pakistan, where one of its nationals was trying to claim asylum when he was arrested in Quebec for allegedly plotting a terrorist attack against Jews in New York City. This incompetence hurts legitimate refugees and all Canadians. Now even their own caucus is calling for the Prime Minister's hand-picked immigration to be fired. When will the Prime Minister wake up and fire this immigration minister?
The Honourable Minister of Public Safety.
Mr. Speaker, every file for asylum comes through a very rigorous security check, Mr. Speaker, both through CBSA as well as through CSIS. Our law enforcement work every single day to keep Canadians safe, and the rigorous process to ensure that those who are inadmissible are deemed to be inadmissible and are removed is something that our law enforcement agencies do each and every day, Mr. Speaker. The assertions made by the opposition is absolutely false.
Honourable Member for Saskatoon West.
Mr. Speaker, it's embarrassing. The ministers don't even know how their own system works. Yesterday, the Prime Minister falsely claimed that he had the immigration system under control. He blindly expressed full confidence in his immigration minister. These are the facts. 300,000 asylum claims, a 4-year backlog, nearly 3 million temporary residents with expiring permits and no plan to remove them. Auto-approving asylum claims from terror-sponsoring countries without any human intervention. Ask any Canadian. Immigration is far from under control. Now even Liberal MPs are questioning her place at the cabinet table. Will the Prime Minister finally wake up, listen to his own MPs, and fire his incompetent immigration minister?
The Honourable Minister of Public Safety.
Mr. Speaker, what I can say is that we have a robust refugee protection system that ensures the safety and security of Canadians. First and foremost, Mr. Speaker, we have a system through the Immigration Refugee Board where every single file is assessed for its merit and it's in compliance with the Refugee Convention of 1951. Secondly, Mr. Speaker, before somebody is granted permanent residency, there is a vigorous security check that enables Canada to ensure the safety and security of Canadians from our law enforcement agencies, including the Canada CSIS as well as the Canada Border Service Agency. The assertions made by...
The honourable member for Riding Mountain.
Mr. Speaker, I asked the Immigration Minister at Health Committee how many more patients our healthcare system could handle. She laughed, then said it wasn't a fair question for immigration. Not a fair question, Mr. Speaker. 6 million Canadians don't have a doctor. People are dying waiting for care. Our system is at capacity, and she doesn't even know it. If the minister sitting immigration levels doesn't think healthcare capacity is her business, then she has no business being minister. So will the Prime Minister fire her today?
The Honourable Health Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So Canada has the values to which the world aspires. We have always been and always will be committed to fundamental rights and human dignity. And we believe in our universal healthcare system. Let's not play politics at the expense of asylum seekers. As I just said, we must build a better healthcare system, and we are doing it working with provinces and territories. Thank you.
The honourable member for Riding Mountain.
Mr. Speaker, the Liberal Immigration Minister falsely told the Health Committee that rejected asylum claimants lose the premium health benefits her government provides. But she was wrong. In fact, her own department had to correct her. Rejected claimants remain fully eligible for premium health benefits like physiotherapy and home care under the interim federal health program. A minister who doesn't know her own program has no business running it. Will the Prime Minister take accountability and fire his immigration minister?
The Honourable Health Minister. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would like to remind my colleague that healthcare is provincial jurisdiction, not federal jurisdiction. The Health Minister and the Immigration Minister have the responsibility to work with provinces and territories in offering services, and as you know, the Immigration Minister has nothing to do with who offers or provides services on the ground. Thank you.
Canada's immigration system is broken, and the Liberal Immigration Minister is treating this critical file like a game of hide and seek. She's not very good at hiding, but the Liberals are very good at deflecting. Even her own Liberal colleagues have called out her abject incompetence. As the minister tries to hide, Canadians are left witnessing youth unemployment crisis and 3 million temporary resident visas expiring in 2026. Will this minister stop playing games and start taking responsibility for the mess that she and the Liberals created?
Hear, hear.
The Honourable Minister of Justice.
Mr. Speaker, it's clear without much substance in the question that's actually being put on the floor that the Conservatives had decided, for political reasons, to try to use immigration as a wedge issue in Canadian politics. They could be using their questions to focus on the Canada-US relationship. They could be using it to focus on how we can improve healthcare, how we can grow the economy. But no, for more than 10 years that I've been elected as a member of Parliament, time and time again, when things get tough, the Conservatives pivot to attacking newcomers. We are dealing with, in some instances, some of the most vulnerable people in the world. I wish we could focus on...
Whoa. There's a lot of noise coming from that side. I know there's some coming from the end over there, and I've got my eye on a certain member over there, but there's a lot of noise coming from that side. So, okay. The Honourable Minister may continue, but please let's keep it down.
I'll conclude very quickly, Mr. Speaker. This is a time for thoughtful debate on policy solutions that will advance the country's interests, not a time for immature name-calling.
The Honourable Member for Leduc-Wetaskiwin.
Less than a year ago, the Liberal election platform promised that the federal deficit would be limited to an already eye-popping $62 billion. That deficit exploded to $78 billion in the fall, with billions more added since. Our federal debt is now nearly 2.5 times what it was just a decade ago. Meanwhile, the Toronto Star warns this morning that Canadian household debt has risen to a record $2.6 trillion. How have we gone in just a decade from a country with a balanced budget and the richest middle class in the world to a country where Canadians are taking on record personal debt to pay off bills passed down to them by their own federal government?
Unbelievable. Yep.
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Debt and deficit that are fiscally sustainable, because the IMF has testified to that fact. The Bank of Canada has testified to that fact. We continue to put in measures, of course, to build up the economy. And opportunities agenda is exactly what this country needs right now. We have seen this government move ahead to ensure that the resources of this country get to market, to build up infrastructure, to make sure that this country can compete on a global level in a changing international landscape. If Conservatives want to be serious, they can join us in those initiatives by pursuing policies that are thoughtful, or they can keep playing games.
The Honourable Member for Leduc-Wetaskiwin.
Well, under the Liberals' new leadership, Canada's multi-front economic crisis has gotten objectively worse. The Liberal Prime Minister himself promised the $62 billion deficit. Their own budget shattered that promise, adding $16 billion in new debt, and they've added billions more in recent weeks. Young Canadians are taking on record personal debt to pay the bill. According to RBC, 64% of millennials are anxious about their financial future as monthly costs squeeze budgets. Which Liberal minister will stand now to explain to those young Canadians why they should take on more personal liability and stress to cover ever-increasing Liberal debt?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
You know, it's interesting. The Conservatives never tell us what they would cut. If they want to pursue this line of questioning, it's logical that they would go to another issue. Would they cut the Canada Child Benefit? They would. Would they cut child care? They certainly would. Would they cut pharmacare? They certainly would do that. Would they cut the school food program that we want to make permanent? They would do that. Would they not support them? These measures, they never have, they never will. What about a long-term focus, an opportunities agenda, jobs, a focus on families, youth? All those things are at stake, and we're pursuing exactly that. They should join us.
The Honourable Member for Newmarket Aurora.
Mr. Speaker, millennials were told that if we worked hard, play by the rules, and plan for the future, we could build a stable life here in Canada. But a recent RBC poll shows that 57% have nothing left after paying their monthly bills, and 4 in 10 believe that they may never be debt-free. After years of soaring housing costs, persistent inflation, and higher taxes, my generation is carrying record personal debt while also being handed this Liberal government's debt to pay for. When will they stop loading debt onto our generation so young Canadians can build a life and not just struggle?
The Honourable Secretary of State for Sport.
Mr. Speaker, once again, the Conservatives are demonstrating that they have no credibility on affordability because they're ignoring all of the recommendations that the experts are making in order to pursue a more equitable future in Canada, Mr. Speaker. One of the recommendations they chose to ignore was the groceries and essentials benefit, Mr. Speaker. We are using a proven mechanism to provide relief to families in those income brackets that need it most with the rising cost of living, Mr. Speaker. The Conservatives can quote the experts if they want, but I recommend they follow their recommendations as well.
The Honourable Member for Newmarket Aurora.
Mr. Speaker, Canadians are tired of political talking points. The Liberals must have the humility to face the reality. Young Canadians are not falling behind by accident. They are being pushed behind by Liberal policies. They're not asking for programs. Talk to a millennial. They're asking them to get out of the way today. TransUnion Canada reports that household debt reached $2.6 trillion by the end of 2025. Families are living paycheck to paycheck just to keep a roof over their heads. When will this Liberal government realize you cannot spend your way to affordability and finally focus on bringing down...
The Honourable Secretary of State.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. You know, it's a little bit ironic to be criticized about political talking points when the members opposite read from the same page over and over and over again. They ask the same 15 questions over and over and over again. They don't write their own questions. There's no creativity from that side, Mr. Speaker. I think the level in this debate deserves a little bit more. On housing, Mr. Speaker, we've invested $13 billion in non-market housing through Build Canada Homes, Mr. Speaker, after a successful pilot, a $1.5 billion pilot on co-op housing, Mr. Speaker. These strategies are working. Rents are coming down. Home ownership is within sight for young people, and that's because of the policies of this government. The Conservatives have a choice. They can get on board or not.
The honourable member for South Shore St. Margaret's.
Speaker, in South Shore St. Margaret's, Hallbold Industries is one of the companies in my riding that is proving that advanced manufacturing for defense isn't just an urban story, it's very much a rural one. Rural communities have the talent and the capacity to help Canada meet its defense needs. Can the Secretary of Defense for Procurement explain how the new defense industrial strategy will expand opportunities for rural manufacturers like Hallbold's and create good-paying jobs for all Canadians? Thank you.
Secretary of Defense, Secretary of State for Defense Procurement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I want to thank the member for South Shore St. Margaret's for advocacy for Nova Scotia's manufacturing, like Hallbold Industries. Companies like this prove that advanced defense manufacturing is thriving in rural Canada. Our defense industrial strategy makes procurement a driver of growth. In Atlantic Canada, the sector supports 10,000 good-paying jobs. Through the Defence Investment Agency, at least 70% of our defence spending will focus on generating jobs and investments here at home. That makes work in communities like Chester and faster delivery for equipment to the Canadian Armed Forces. Thank you.
The honourable member for Richmond Hill South.
The hope of ever owning a home is slipping away for young Canadians. Nearly half of young Canadians are forced to move out of their communities they grew up in because they can no longer afford the Liberal housing hell. From 2019 to 24, for every 100 new adults added to our population, there were only 12 housing starts intended for ownership. This is less than half the pace of previous decades. Now a new CIBC report confirms what young Canadians already know. Homes are still too expensive to buy and not profitable to build. After years of Liberal rhetoric and red tape, when will this government finally scrap the GST on all new homes and let young Canadians build a life?
The Honourable Minister for Housing and Infrastructure.
Mr. Speaker, well, the good news is there is a tax break for first-time homebuyers coming. Thank members of this House for standing up for our young people. And this is really what we're seeing now, is we're seeing prices start to come down, rents come down, home prices coming down. We see that in the new CMHC Housing Affordability Index report that came out this morning. The trend is in the right direction, but we have to double down. We have to focus on delivering Build Canada homes, $13 billion for affordable housing. We have to make sure that this entire House is committed to bringing down the price of housing for young Canadians.
Excellent.
The honourable member for Richmond Hill South.
Instead of laying foundations for homes, this Liberal government is laying foundations for another bureaucracy. This Liberal Prime Minister promised to build at a pace not seen since the Second World War. Yet a recent report from the government's own housing agency says that home building is expected to drop in each of the next 3 years, with housing starts in 2028 falling as much as 18% compared to last year. That's 55% below what is necessary to meet the Prime Minister's own targets. Instead of building homes, they're building roadblocks for the fourth Liberal housing bureaucracy. When will the Liberals finally admit that they themselves are the problem?
Honourable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Well, again, to the member opposite, our next steps are critical. And the next step that this member can take is supporting the Build Canada Homes Act and making sure that this government has every tool available to invest in affordable housing.
What a good idea.
We have $13 billion labeled for non-market housing that will leverage tens of thousands of units of affordable housing, from rental to affordable home ownership.
That's a good idea.
We need everybody on board with this, Mr. Speaker. This is not a time to take pot shots. It's not a time to fall back on a failed record that the Conservatives have on housing. Thank you.
The honourable member for York Durham.
A new report from CIBC confirms what young Canadians already know. The dream of home ownership is slipping away. In fact, the bank says prices are too high to buy, and that the average down payment in Ontario is now nearly $300,000. That's an impossible number. But behind that number, Mr. Speaker, a young family who can't buy a home, start a family, or build a life. The bank says that unless we cut the cost of homes, things will only get worse. So here's our suggestion. Cut the cost of GST on all new homes. Will the Housing Minister agree to that?
The Honourable Secretary of State for Financial Institutions.
Mr. Speaker, you'll forgive us.
if Canadians recognize that party has no credibility when it comes to housing. Their leader called middle-class housing shacks.
That's right.
He called co-op housing Soviet style, and that member mocked modular housing. That leader even called on his MPs to boycott the Housing Accelerator Fund that would have actually helped their ridings. Wow. Mr. Speaker, on this side of the House, we're serious about getting houses built. That party is just full of obstruction and rhetoric. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Député de Mont-Saint-Bruno-L'Acadie.
The Honourable Member for Mont-Saint-Bruno-L'Acadie. Mr. Speaker, on Monday, at the Human Resources Committee, our government once again tried to table a motion to study the National School Food Program after hearing credible witnesses explain how it helps children and families. However, Conservative MPs spent the session obstructing and denying the fact that food security is linked to affordability. They denied the impact of climate change on food systems and also denied the idea that families should not have to worry about whether their children ate lunch, whether they're eating enough vegetables, or whether they've had enough to eat. Can the Secretary of State for Children and Youth tell this House how the National School Food Program helps children eat well and helps families worry less?
Waited that long. Honourable Secretary of State for Children and Youth.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Et d'abord,
Mr. Speaker, I thank my colleague, the member for Mont-Saint-Bruno-L'Acadie, for his question. If the Conservative Party wants to talk about food insecurity, they should support the school food program. A new study by the Breakfast Club of Canada shows that when children eat well at school, their academic performance improves. Child health improves, and this program also helps families reduce their food spending. While they engage in pointless obstruction, we will continue to listen to educators and experts. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Brantford South, Six Nations.
This week, Peel Police charged 4 men with sex trafficking girls as young as 11 years of age. Yet within 24 hours, these disgusting criminals were released on liberal bail. Let that sink in. Grown men charged with exploiting young girls are now walking free. Wow. This is an absolute disgrace. This is what a broken justice system looks like. Yep. Enough is enough. When will this government stop coddling the worst criminals in our society and finally stand on the side of innocent children?
Here, here. Honourable Secretary of State for Combating Crime.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Just today, I was with Peel Regional Police at a human trafficking symposium, and we talked about these issues with survivors. It's really important that criminals of this type, this heinous crime, get the sentences that they deserve, and that is why, Mr. Speaker, we brought in place bail reform. Had the Conservatives cooperated, we could have had it passed before Christmas, but they chose to obstruct. I'm glad to see that the legislation is now progressing and we could put an end to the revolving door.
Here, here. Yes.
The Honourable Member for Winnipeg Centre.
Mr. Speaker, today Indigenous women, girls, and Two-Spirit people are meeting with government officials to discuss safety in communities impacted by resource extraction. Yet this follows a budget that included zero funding for MMIWG and the Liberals' exclusion of Indigenous women in the development of Bill C-5, despite the high rates of violence around these projects. Mr. Speaker, will the government mandate enforceable community safety plans for corporations and restore funding to address this ongoing crisis?
The Honourable Minister for Women and Gender Equality.
We owe it to survivors and those we've lost to act and prevent gender-based violence. As we advance these major projects, we're working with communities to protect women, girls, and gender-diverse people. Through our National Action Plan, we're strengthening prevention and ensuring that survivors can access those supports. This is how we ensure progress never comes at the expense of the safety of women and girls in our country. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Colleagues, I would like to take a moment to bring to your attention a very important anniversary this week, the 150th anniversary of the Library of Parliament. pendant 150 ans, des
For 150 years, parliamentarians could count on this treasure of information, of expertise, of knowledge. I think all members of Parliament appreciate the exceptional service that the employees of the Library of Parliament provide every day. With their intelligence, their professionalism, and their innovation, this institution has evolved over the years to provide information so that we could best serve our riding and our constituents. We can count on the calm, diplomacy, and wisdom of the Library of Parliament staff.
50 years, the library has evolved and innovated to meet the changing needs of Parliament. The days when the library's services were centered on a collection of books, journals, and reference works is long gone. Today, thanks to technology, the walls of the library have disappeared and parliamentarians can access its resources wherever they are, whenever they want. Dynamic, digital, and highly specialized, the Library of Parliament has risen to the challenge of meeting the needs of modern parliamentary democracy. Au cœur de l'évolution de la...
At the heart of the evolution of this Library of Parliament, we have generations of librarians, researchers, and many other analysts who work tirelessly to make sure that parliamentarians have the information they need when they need it.
Research briefings and legislative summaries, to answering urgent reference questions, to helping with speeches and guiding senators and members of Parliament through complex data and historical records. Library employees provide expertise across a remarkable range of subjects. Their commitment to accuracy, impartiality, and service ensures that Parliament can function with knowledge and confidence. As we celebrate the library's 150th anniversary, we honor not only the building itself, but also the extraordinary staff whose skill and dedication have sustained this institution for a century and a half. On behalf of this House, I express the deepest gratitude of its members to the Library of Parliament for the excellence of its services, which continue to inspire, inform, and support parliamentarians. Thank you. Merci.